whether there will be any more attacks. It's really very difficult for police to do anything other than say there is somebody in a red car somewhere in North London who needs to be stopped, and that makes it very, very difficult indeed. And as I said, it took about an hour really before these attacks stopped, and of course we don't know whether the attacks just stopped because the person behind them decided to stop, or there was some other reason. So at this stage the police investigation is still very much ongoing. As I said, there are forensic teams here, and I'd be very surprised if there weren't forensic teams at the other locations around North London where these stabbings occurred. With the way that these stabbings were described, they seem to follow a pattern, which is why Scotland Yard felt that they were linked, in that somebody in a red car would drive up, they would stop, they appeared to select a victim at random, that person would be stabbed in the back. Then the person would get back in the car and go away. Now, one of the victims, we understand, just shortly after they were attacked, managed to tell two passers-by that they thought there were at least two people in this car. He was able to give something of a description before he collapsed.
Well, Sawas Shengaras owns a shop in Palmer's Green, which is near to the stabbing which occurred on the corner of Ecclesbourne Road and Green Lanes.
And as we understand, we haven't seen it firsthand, but it was a policewoman off duty standing by at that time when a man came out of his car, attacked someone walking on the pavement, stabbed him once at the back, then he ran into his car and left. The police woman, off-duty policewoman there, that took his registration number, came into our shop, and she immediately phoned up the police with all the details of what she saw there. At first it was some kind of shouting idea on her part. It was a dog loose there, which he attacked the policewoman. She was a bit frightened, and we didn't realize it was a stabbing there taking place until a minute later when she runs into the shop using the phone. As we understood there, I think the dog belonged to either the victim there or the attacker, one of the two. I mean, they kept the dog there. I don't know what happened at the end. But I was fairly frightened because it's not the first incident that happens around the area.
Now let's just run through precisely what has happened during the course of the morning with these knife attacks. Now the first call to the police was made at 8:20. A 29-year-old man had been stabbed outside Edmonton Green train station. We'll be there live shortly. He was rushed to hospital in a serious condition. Then at 8:50, a man was found stabbed in Gladstone Avenue in Wood Green. Less than 20 minutes later in Harringay, a 30-year-old woman was stabbed. And only 4 minutes after that, a 30-year-old man was found stabbed in Green Lanes in Wood Green. And then just before 9:30, a fifth attack was reported. A 40-year-old man was taken to hospital in a life-threatening condition. Now, a sixth person is also reported to have been attacked. And we've been told that one of the victims indeed has since died. Now let's just go to the scene of one of the attacks around Edmonton. We will be there live with our correspondent shortly. But just to run through the situation in hospital at the moment, because the hospital spokespeople have been making this fairly clear in the last 10 minutes or so. Edmonton Green tube station there, where we mentioned one of the attacks had happened. There is the one person who has died, who was a 40-year-old man, and he died at hospital in Leytonstone. There is a woman who is put down as having been 20 years old, who has been transferred to the London Heart Hospital. And then there are three men who are undergoing surgery at North Middlesex Hospital in Edmonton. They're in a critical condition, aged 33, 49 and 76. And then there's a 50-year-old man who's in the high dependency unit at North Middlesex, who's in a critical but stable condition. Now, the police have been holding a news conference, as we said. We promised we would bring a recording of that conference, which happened a short time ago.
Good afternoon. This morning we are dealing with the tragic death of a man who has been stabbed. The Metropolitan Police, my heart and my prayers go out to his family. We're very saddened by that news. This morning at around about 8:20, police here at Edmonton were called to a first stabbing. We dealt with that very promptly. That man was taken to hospital and is in a serious but stable condition. Some 45 minutes later, other calls came to other stabbings, both here and in the borough of Harringay. Police deployed to those incidents, and again we've got a number of people that have been taken to hospital, and one of those people sadly has died. By 9:20 in a street in Harringay, a man has been arrested. We keep an open mind if other suspects may be involved, but we are confident that action by unarmed officers hopefully has stopped this particular level of violence. No calls have been received since that particular arrest. We have an incident room here at Edmonton Police Station. We appeal for anyone who has information about these incidents that have been happening in the south of Enfield Borough and to the north of Harringay Borough to phone us at that incident room, and the number is 0208 345 1585. Obviously, if anyone has any information, we would willingly receive that. The investigation goes on, and clearly we would hope that our actions this morning have promptly stopped what has been a terrible morning on the streets of Edmonton and Enfield. Thank you.
Can you give us
all stabbings, quite often 2 or 3 stab wounds to random people moving about the borough this morning.
Is there any pattern between the victims, any types of people, just a complete random cross-section possibly?
It looks like a complete random cross-section, both male and female. Ethnicity as well, there seems to be some random there, although details are still coming in on that.
Were they frenzied attacks?
Sorry.
Were they frenzied attacks?
A number of stab wounds. I would say that's not particularly pleasant.
Can you give us some details of how the arrest occurred?
Unarmed officers responding to information that we clearly got very quickly, deployed to an address in Tottenham. To an address in Tottenham. Right. A man pulled up in a car and was arrested by unarmed officers.
Did he put up a struggle?
There was no struggle.
Are there still large numbers of police on the streets? And if so, how many?
We've had support from the whole of the Metropolitan Police, including the aerial support unit that is overhead now. TSG, our murder investigation teams have been scrambled, and also our forensic colleagues are on every scene. It's been a superb response this morning by the Metropolitan Police, and please God we have this man in custody.
Do you believe there could be any link to the killing yesterday of the shopkeeper in Green Lane?
Well, it's disturbing again that someone has lost their life just recently. We are clearly looking at those links, but that will come out as the investigation comes forward.
How did he get around?
We believe this man was travelling by a vehicle, and the man that we've arrested this morning was arrested at a vehicle, driving himself.
So what car was that?
We had a red vehicle, a Hyundai, and that is the vehicle that we have with us this morning.
So he was driving around at random?
That's what we believe.
Picking on victims at random?
That's what we believe.
Is this a psychiatric patient you're dealing with?
We could be dealing with a person who has a history of mental illness. Certainly the person who is in custody has a history of mental illness.
And have they escaped from anywhere?
We haven't got any details that he has escaped.
Have you got any idea as to what prompted this attack?
No idea at the moment.
There's been some of the eyewitnesses said that there were 2 men in the car. Do you think that's credible, or do you think
we keep an open mind if other people may be outstanding, but clearly since the arrest of this particular individual no further calls have come in.
But you had reports that there were 2 people in the car, or?
We haven't had a specific report about, we keep an open mind as to whether there's 1 or 2 people or more, but since the time of this arrest of this man in Harringay, just about an hour after the first attack, we've had no further calls.
Can you give us a bit more detail about him? Does he have a job, or where does he live?
I haven't no further details of that at the moment. That will come forthcoming in the future.
Just related to the Wood Green thing yesterday, you said that you're keeping an open mind about that and looking to see whether there is any links. How likely do you think it is there are links between what happened yesterday and what happened today?
That will come out in the investigation. I have no view on that at the moment, but clearly it's a link that we'll look at.
But is it a strong line of inquiry that you're...
It will be a major line of our inquiry.
Major line of inquiry.
So if I can ask, how are you saying that he was arrested when he pulled up in his car at an address in Tottenham?
That's right.
That's what you're saying. So you were waiting for this person at the address in Tottenham?
My information is that we pulled up almost as he did.
Had you caught up with him by then? Or
no, we had information that directed us towards that particular location, and we pulled up at an address.
Was it his address?
It looks like it could be his address, yes.
Have you recovered a knife?
We have recovered a knife.
What sort of knife is it? Is it a kitchen knife?
I have no information of that, but certainly we have recovered a knife.
So you'd established his identity before you found him?
No, we have information about the possibility of who he was and where he might be going from the vehicle details.
Right. Okay, thank you. Let's now we'll take 1-to-1.
30. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Well, there's the police press conference just a little bit earlier, in which, just a few minutes ago indeed, in which the police have been giving some details as to their activity following the list of stabbings which happened, 6 stabbings in a relatively small area of North London. Now, a man was arrested at 9:20 this morning in Harringay shortly after the final stabbing, and you heard the police officer there describing how they pulled up at an address in Tottenham, more or less at the same time as a car pulled up, and the man inside was arrested and is now being questioned in connection with this. The police saying that they could be dealing with a person who has a mental illness. The police clearly targeting an address in Tottenham there and then arresting somebody as a result of arriving there, a man who is aged about 30 years old. The police say they have found a knife and that man is now being questioned.
Now, police in that press conference also saying that they are looking at possible links with stabbing of a shopkeeper yesterday in Wood Green. We're saying that that would be part of the inquiry, but saying no more at this stage, saying that a possible link there. So they would be looking at that possible link with a stabbing of a shopkeeper yesterday in Wood Green. We know that the man who died today is 40 years old and he died at Whipps Cross Hospital. We're going to listen now to George Jean from North Middlesex Hospital and hear what she has to say.
Jean George, I'm the Acting Chief Exec of North Middlesex Hospital.
Corner, not the camera.
Sorry.
About there. No, sorry. Just want to get the background in. Okay.
Can you tell me what you've had to deal with here this morning?
Okay. We've had 5 patients admitted with stab wounds. 3 of those are in theatre, 1 in HTU, and we've managed to transfer 1 to the hospital. We've actually closed down to blue lights today for approximately 2 to 4 hours, and we've got support from Chase Farm Hospital, our neighbouring hospital, to take the blue lights.
So you're actually set up to deal with something like this?
Yeah, this is not necessarily standard, but it is something that we can cope with, and we put in practice our emergency plans for a hospital of this type.
Can you tell us how serious these wounds were?
I've got no further details on the patients. Clearly they're in theatres, so they are actually serious, and one's actually in a high dependency unit.
Okay, so what happens from here?
Patients will be treated, and if necessary they will be admitted to another hospital if they require further treatment, or they stay here and we continue to care for them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is that all right?
Yep, that's great.
Can we just pop on a quick picture of standing there?
Well, there's some details from the North Middlesex Hospital as to the people who've been injured in this series of random stabbings. The police also giving their latest information there of how they've been targeting a person at a known address, and that a car pulled up while they were there, and that person has been arrested. And a man also arrested at 9:20 this morning in Harringay, which is shortly after the final stabbing took place. We shall be back to the scene live to our correspondent Richard Lister shortly to get the latest on this series of random stabbings starting at just after 8 o'clock this morning in a relatively small area of North London.
Now, hunting with dogs in